attitude. This is what explains the reason for putting together what it is you'll be hearing soon. Golf. GULF. Title be so because of where I was born and raised. What's a Otema's meaning of it is?
Check. The beaches speak to me. A young old soul, been like this 13 years old. For my mind is growing cold. Life I'm living pretty slow. Down with brothers Nana Usu and Pakwisi Daniels. We about to get in boats. Cause I don't wanna swim today. Don't even have the skill. See my brainy self get blinded by these semi-pretty girls. What a different world I was in. Some was alien to these things. Now let's get back home right after school and do that shorty thing. LXLV, that's code for first the dames that I don't want. Hearts were stolen and by final year them two were them.
Hey, what's up? It's 90, and then rapper out to my solo mixtape, Golf, on FulLCircl's new drops.
So it's been a long way rapping for you, right?
Yeah.
Why did it take you so long to actually release your debut solo EP?
Interestingly, I wasn't really paying attention to the timeline for myself. I was just happy doing collaborations with other groups that I was a part of. So from doing work with Soul Tip Family, doing work with G Nation, doing work with This Is Dope, and then interestingly, it just found its way to me now sitting down and asking myself if I really wanted to do something for me. And the question was yes. And so over the period of, say, somewhere 2018, that was when I was contemplating on just doing a small pack. But then by the next year, which was 2019, I realized, now this can become a life and a world of its own. And so I gave it some thoughts and I said, okay, let's make it happen. By 2020, I was done with golf. But I sat in the pot for a while until last year thereabouts when I received the master's and I said, okay, I think it's finally ready to go out into the world. So yeah, now we have golf.
Golf has actually taken like 5 years to actually reach us, or maybe 6, because you literally finished in 2019. By 2020, golf was done.
Yeah, by 2020, golf was done. Yeah.
Why the name Golf?
It's not anything, how do you call it, deep. Yeah. It's just me acknowledging my beginnings because I lived close to the beach. I was born and raised in Tema. Yeah, neighborhood was Community 3, and we were close to the beach, hence me going by the name Golf. Yeah.
Interesting. That actually it's a perfect segue into my next question, which explains your intro very clearly. The title of your intro is Waves, right?
Yes.
Now on Waves, you take a very introspective approach on your story and how far you've come. I was listening to it and I deeped that you really, really emoted with your pen a lot on this particular intro.
Yeah.
The emotions were clear with some of the things you were like. It was just like you recorded it and then you came out and the whole studio was silent after that.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah. So, I remember doing this whole verse I think, in 2 bits. But it had been written like as one whole. And so I tried as much as possible to record it in that one sitting. For me, I think it came from the beats that I heard. So shouts to Qal-nel because he produced that beat. And instantly I heard the beats. I felt beach. That's the first thing that came to me. So I said, okay, this makes sense. Let me see what will come out of this. So it just so happened I was just writing, talking about myself, acknowledging the friendships I had made from childhood, and then my journey entering into high school, which is where hip-hop began for me, or I began to participate in doing some form of activity for myself just to make myself happy. And rap became what it was I connected with. So that's how it happened. So me, it felt like I was just compiling the whole set of experiences from that timeline onto where exactly I'd ended it at, just me acknowledging. So it's more of an acknowledgement, just saying, hey, this is me, this is where I'm coming from. I mean, I intentionally say the word loosely, but then at the same time, it's still real and personal to me. So yeah.
Interesting. Upon listening to Waves, I realized that growing up, you must have been a pain in the ass for your mom, especially God actually telling your mom that, hey, mom, obey the turbo.
Oh yeah. That portion is still personal because at the time there were people who had started getting enrolled into their high schools. That's my schoolmates. So it became a thing where I was still waiting And she was a bit tense. There was tensions in the house. I wasn't a problem child. That's the thing. Like people think, nah, I wasn't a problem child. I wasn't giving her a lot of trouble. But then just around that time, we having to do the waiting and all was kind of putting a lot of stress because you have people asking questions. When is your child going to school, such and such.
Right.
So she didn't like that I was being asked those questions. So most of the time she'll have me indoors just waiting. And then we contemplating. And then finally, it just happened that like, okay, now it's time. I have to get going. Yeah.
Let's move to producers a little bit. I realized that I was going through the song credits on the 10-track tape, and I realized that you worked with multiple producers, but then there was one producer that was actually, I've forgotten the name. It starts with an O.
Oh, Oshoma Native, yeah.
There was one producer that actually is very, very dominant. But I also realized that you worked with Klouded Keys and Qal-nel, BabaWvd, and a couple of them.
Yeah.
How was it like working with these people?
Okay, so interestingly, what happened with the way these projects went, or the way the beats went, were that some of them has sent them to me. So Klouded has sent me his, which actually wasn't even going to be on this tape.
Right.
It was going to be like another song on its own. But what happened was that I had recorded me and E on another beat. I'd done the first version, brilliant by the way. And then we were done and Kwame Universal engineered the whole thing. It's like, oh, we can't use this. So then I was kind of stuck. I said, what other work do I have? So I quickly tapped into this one. I just started freestyling the verse over the beats just to see how I sound. And it worked. And I said, okay, let me go by it. I reached out to Klouded. I said, oh, bro, it looks like the idea I had for that, I'm changing it to this. And I said, oh, bro, just go ahead with it. Just make sure you acknowledge me. That's it. I said, all right, cool. Yeah, so that's how it happened for Klouded. And then the rest of them, I think Qal-nel, for Qal-nel's beats, it wasn't a personal thing. He had kind of dropped it in a group that we were in. So I just reached out to him saying, I'm writing to this. And said, oh, okay, go ahead. Both of them I'd had in 2018 for Qal-nel's work. Oshoma, he sent me beats at the time because he had just started getting back into his production back, but he was also tapping into film. So he had then enrolled with Nafti at a time where he was just balancing both, but he was kind of giving me work to listen to and go, oh, I think you sound good on this. What do you think? So I think the one that made me wait a lot before the whole project was about to complete was both Trouble Made Me and then Light Nights. Because Light Nights, I had to seek permission from Aseni. Aseni is Andrew Banting, by the way, who is also doing movies now. He's co-starred with Tiwa Savage in What Time Gary, by the way. So when I reached out to him about it, the version he had was a much longer version. But then when I reached out to him for this actual one, he had a shorter one. I said, oh, I still like the way it is. Just give it to me and production credits, all that.
So on City Camp Blues, right? The song, the City Camp Blues with Tamate, the song actually reminds me of a song that Kota the Friend would actually do. I mean, this whole tape is really chill.
Yeah.
And leaves you to actually think after even listening to something. Why did you take this approach?
I just wanted to do a song. BabaWvd had reached out to me saying we should work on stuff. And this was the first beat he sent. And he sent subsequent beats after that, that's years later. But then this is the first one he sent that we should start working on something in line of an R&B themed project. And I said, okay, cool. So I heard it, and at the time I just come off of a whole situation by rewriting a paper, so I reset. I didn't like the experience, but the relief from me knowing that I was done made me go, oh, you know what, let me make light of the situation by just making a song out of it. And then this beat worked. And so I had written the whole thing, verse, hook, everything, right? Intending to go and record it all by myself. But the delivery for the hook wasn't coming out the way that we thought it would. So Kwame, who was, again, held me down the whole time, ensured me that we would find somebody, but then we didn't know which singers to reach out to at the time. So miraculously, there was one session that Tamate came through. He was also there to come and play some songs for Kwame. And it just so happened that we were playing the song again, and then he says, oh, yeah, you know what, Tamate, if you do me this favor, kindly jump into the booth and let's record this portion for my guy. And he did. He no hesitate safe. And he did it one time. And next thing I realized that the song was done. So yeah, but it made me appreciate doing and taking things on a lighter note, like not necessarily giving myself too much pressure when certain things they happen. So even if it be ourselves, I still go appreciate and acknowledge the moment. Because for me, the entire golf is how do you call it? Themed around gratitude. For me, I'm just appreciating that for all these lessons that I've had to go through. They've taught me well. So yeah, that's it for me on City Camp Blues.
You actually made references, if not once but twice, to school a lot on this tape. One was you being in a disco, and then the second one was you in a lecture hall answering like objective questions, right? Did you actually draw a large part of like the material from this tape from experiences in school?
Oh, heavy, because these were the times I was on my own, no parental supervision whatsoever. You're learning to tolerate different temperaments, people's behaviors, and making friends and forming new relationships out of that. High school being instrumental because that is where I started this whole thing with rap. And then college for me because there was now me working the balance, both the relationship and then studies. And it was a tough feat for me because I wasn't even having a hard time there. So with what it is I came out to cry, I'm still surprised. But yeah, I drew most of that from my time in school. Yeah.
That's interesting. On Dave's interlude, that's one of my favorite songs on the tape. That's actually second to Waves. You mentioned being at the back seat of a car drinking Burkina, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, how do you pick and choose what words to include in your raps that just like are so relatable? It's like it just hits someone, and then like the person is like, oh, hey, this be something me self I do before.
Yeah. For me, I used to be hell bent on openness, how to start like a verse. What is it that will make sense to me? And then I later realized you don't really have to be hard on yourself. If it's real enough for you to acknowledge, just go with what it is that comes in your head the first time and let the verse just piece itself together. Everything will make sense. So that's my approach. I'm not staying on what specifically I have to say. I'm not looking to hit you hard like with some punchline or whatever. Nah, I'm just going for what it is I feel in the moment. At the time, I just dropped from Metroski. I was heading to Kwame's because he had called me so we come and record this song. But then he didn't tell me it was this song we were about to do. All he just told me was, we have a session, so come by. And that was the feeling I had. I had a whole moment at home that I didn't enjoy. So I just left with some clouded, my mind being clouded. And then I get there, and this is the beat that is playing with Dave, who is Flower Papi, already done with his hook, and was just replaying, and I just asked for a pen and paper. I didn't even have my phone at the time, so I just asked for a pen and paper, and I started.
Where was your phone?
I don't even know where it was. I think it was in my pocket.
And how funny your mom.
Charlie, it was in my, but then I think it was low. So I had to go through one big. So I reached there. I think I even had to power it there. Mm-hmm. So I would then sit and then write like to the thing on paper, like pen and paper. So I asked for Kwame's diary at the time, and I just wrote the whole thing there. I was just letting it play, and then I did the whole verse in like one take. So I went to the whole verse. They heard it like, oh, that's it. It's calm. And then Aseni wakes up from the back. It's like, bro, let me see if I can play something to this. And then he plays that. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, this makes sense. And then that was the record. So Dave's interlude, interestingly, then becomes the heart of what will then inspire me to start taking on the project seriously and going like, you know what, you can actually make a world out of this whole thing in itself.
It actually makes sense for me to even have it at number 2.
Right.
In one of the songs, right?
Yeah.
I don't really keep the titles in mind, but I remember some of the things that you said. Mm-hmm. Whilst drafting the questions, you said something that really struck me. You're like, you talk to your soul on a regular basis. This tape is really chill, yet it causes you to think, and then you smile at some of the lyrics as well, right? Explain what you meant by, when be the last time you go see your soul?
Oh yeah. So what that line actually is? So you say, what's the intro again? You said, talk my soul on a regular basis. So that comes from the song Trouble Made Me, right? last but one song I do before Light Night, because I did both the same evening. So it just so happened, I think I was hell-bent on doing a different song with the Trouble Made Me beat, by the way. But when I was listening to it again, it just felt like something I should do for myself. So I wasn't even thinking about who is going to like this thing. I just felt like I'm making this thing happen. So I wrote it in the house before I came to the studio. Both Trouble Made Me and Light Night. So Talk to My Soul on a regular basis. I sidelined me and myself to the code. It's a whole thing. I'm having a moment with myself because I used to have all those times having conversations with me, asking me questions, being introspective. You know, I don't really care what it is somebody else is asking me, just wanting to indulge me and enjoy me at the time. And then you talk about when was the last time you go see or saw. So when was the last time you go see or saw? But then I had the whole like rhyme pattern going, so it kind of merges it so you don't.
I think that explains why I even heard so.
Yeah, so when was the last time you go see or saw? Because the follow-up is the
I
Hele
can't.
Baba all you did.
It's what I can. But if you want power up there,
if
I go see Qal-nel.
Good. So when have you checked yourself? Have you checked your sense of spirituality? Like,
Right.
are you intact with you? Is your spirit aligned? All that. So these are questions I was asking myself. So this record, Trouble Made Me, it's a crossroads record for me because here I am wondering what's next I'm supposed to do. And it's a question of balance. I'm asking myself, where am I? What am I doing? Am I taking myself serious? Am I taking these aspects of my life, these facets of my life serious? Am I even taking music serious? And that's when the second verse or that bridge comes in with the complaints can't make bunch, but we don't see no work. And you see people doing the same thing, but it's not everybody that has got it. So don't really put any pressure on yourself. So that portion helps me win out all of that. And I encapsulate it in the hook saying, like, these songs that I make tell Trouble Made Me, because I'm constantly worrying with myself. What is it that will work for me? What is it that will make sense to me? All that. Yeah. So when the last time you go see also, it's just like checking on myself, like, because church became an issue at the time. Like, this is lockdown period. People weren't really going out.
Right.
Yeah. So it gave us a lot of time to think.
To actually think and reflect.
Think and reflect for ourselves. Yeah.
I mean, like, Golf actually literally just dropped, I think 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, how has the receptiveness, like, been thus far for you to actually have, like, your debut solo tape? And also, like, are there any milestones you want Golf to hit?
Interestingly, I mean, you talk to other people when you are about to put a project out and they are giving you all these things to look out for, metrics and things. But this is the one project that I'm not even heavy on numbers. I just want to see these emotions, these thoughts shared with me. Like, bro, this is how I feel. I'm having people, and shouts to BabaWvd, by the way. I'm having him.
Not the DJ.
Not the DJ, but then this is BabaWvd. So he goes by the name Joshua Ramirez. So that's his real name. And he took out time, sent me a review, like wrote in its notes, sent me screenshots, like people who are breaking it down to me, trying to ask me what it is I meant in these things. So making it feel that way helped me understand that, I like that it's on that personable level where they can actually ask me personal questions. Even if I don't feel like opening up to them that much, the portions that they do not get, the way I'll break it down to them is giving them a different sense of understanding of like, oh, okay, since you're saying this thing now, let me go back and then play. So I'm liking the fact that it's not just letting them look at, oh, this thing gets so-and-so place and the rest, but it's making them go back to go and listen to things that they even missed out. And that's my joy. Maybe later I would definitely look out on all of these things, which is something that you would definitely want to consider as an artist. But at the same time, the wholesomeness of it is me seeing how well it's been appreciated. And so far, so good. Positive feedback. There's gotten a lot of good reception, and I'm liking the progress so far. For me, it's no pressure with this project, so I'm enjoying the ride as I'm on. Yeah.
Interesting. Take us home, man.
Take you home. Okay, so this is Golf first solo mixtape by 11-track project. It's centering on themes around my life, a little bit personable and introspective, but the grounds and the foundation on which this project is established on is gratitude. Because for me, there were a lot of things that happened at the time. I could have scrapped this project. I wanted to at some point in time, but I later realized I'll throw all that skepticism away and just let it come and be given to the rest of the world. Like, not be focused on who is going to take what, where it's going to take me to. Just be happy that I put out a project. And yeah, so far so good.
Tell us where to find your records, man.
Oh, it's available on as many streaming services as possible. You can find it on Apple Music for sure, and then Spotify, Deezer, YouTube Music, Boomplay, Tidal, as many stores as possible. AudioMac as well, yeah. If you check them out, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Attitude. This is what explains the reason for putting together what it is you'll be hearing soon. GULF. Title be so because of where I was born and raised. What's a Otema's meaning of it us?
Check. The beaches speak to me. A young old soul, been like this 13 years old. For my mind is growing cold. Life I'm living pretty slow. Down with brothers Nana Usu and Pakwisi Daniels. We about to get in boats.